For the animated poster assignment, include text and shapes in your poster, but no images. We need to say everything with text and shapes. But as we'll see, there is tremendous expressive potential in typography and shape design. The goal of establishing a hierarchy in design is to lead the eye to what is most important first. To do that, designers manipulate the properties of individual elements on the page or screen. First, let's discuss my typeface. I have mimicked the type family of the Nike posters, something clean and bold that has some height to it. This is a bit of a design metaphor, choosing a typeface with height for my basketball theme. Let's look at my poster, composed of text with little or no hierarchy. This design does not lead the eye into any element on the page first. We read it all at once, albeit from left to right. To establish a hierarchy, it is important to understand how it is communicated through a visual rhythm. Hierarchy is the effect your eye travels. Visual rhythm is the concept. It can be applied to all sorts of content and media. And it is made real by the application of design principles, these are methods that designers use, on particular properties, which are characteristics of the content. So let me show you some examples. The first way to establish a visual rhythm is through pattern and change. Pattern and change could be anything on the page or screen. If there's more than one of something, then it's a pattern. Follow a pattern with something different, then it is a change. One of the easiest ways to show you this principle in action is through the property of color. Let's change one of the words to red. Now, with this change emerging out of the pattern, my eye is drawn to the change first. We just created our first hierarchical choice with pattern and change using the property of color. Another hierarchical principle is symmetry and asymmetry. To show you this, I'm going to establish a grid. A grid is an invisible way to divide up the image into columns and rows. It does not mean that every square is filled. What it means is that however we set up our grid, our content is aligned along it over 1, 2, 3, or even more grid squares. Here are some examples. When something is fully symmetrical, it tends to read very balanced without hierarchy. Hierarchies draw our eye, so let's cycle through a few variations of placing the content along the grid. Another property to consider is scale. We can create a different size for the text elements. This brings emphasis through a bit of asymmetry of one word being larger. But because we have pattern, typeface, color scheme, some symmetry, and some common scale, the design feels unified. In this example, I experimented with color, the placement along the grid, scale, and I added an orange background similar to the inspiration posters. Finally, I added this box around bounce, giving it some emphasis, framing it. I also added the Nike swoosh. To export as a PNG, go to File, Export, Export As, select PNG, and the resolution can be set for screens.